Fuel prices soar as independent marketers purchase from private depots at 490 naira per litre. Investors and export foreign exchange window records 788 million US dollars turnover 1 week after currency unification. Oil extends declines on China growth wars. Firmer dollar. The premium program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to know you're here at this time, and it's that time we bring you up to speed with happenings in the world of business. I will start by telling you that a total of 788 million US dollars has been recorded as cumulative turnover in the official investor and export window, a week after unification of the exchange rate was announced. The Central Bank of Nigeria announced the unification of all official exchange rate windows on the 14th of June 2023, leading to a plummeting of the exchange rate. Since then, the exchange rate at the investor and export window has oscillated between 663 per dollar to 770 naira per dollar as traders search for price discovery. Now, EcoBank Group, the leading Pan-African banking group, and the Pan-African Payment and Settlement Systems, PAPS, have signed a memorandum of understanding to facilitate the settlement of cross-border transactions of the group, including the transactions of all their subsidiaries through PAPS. The memorandum of understanding was signed at the ongoing 30th Afreximbank annual meeting holding in Accra, Ghana. PAPS also introduced the commercial bank settlement model, a new settlement model which offers the commercial banks a window to open and fund their own settlement accounts at Afreximbank and manage their own liquidity according to their banking needs by leveraging the capabilities of PAPS. EcoBank affiliates in 33 countries with over 32 million customers who streamline and expedite the transfer of funds while ensuring transparency and compliance under the regulator's supervision. Established by the African Export-Import Bank and Africa Continental Free Trade Area, the Secretariat of PAPS is a financial market infrastructure that provides a secure and efficient channel for processing cross-border payments, ensuring speed, affordable costs, and reliability in order to facilitate intra-African trade. Now, conversations at the ongoing Afreximbank annual meeting centered on the need to turbocharge the implementation of the African continental market, with emphasis on supporting MSMEs and manufacturing of automobiles, pharmaceuticals, cotton, and textiles, among other key economic enablers.
Critically, we look forward to working with the bank on the development of priority continental value chains, such as automotives, pharmaceuticals, and cotton textile.
I think going forward, a lot of work has to be done by the heads of state.
One of the advocacy pillars also we are working on is to have at least 40% of all government procurement goes to African private sector.
Like the digital trade protocol, that there'll be a chance for your partners outside of Africa to also weigh in and provide some insights on how they would like to work with you, work with the Africans, and take advantage of what's happening here on the continent. There's no continent that has more opportunities now, especially in the post-COVID period, than Africa.
Concerned stakeholders in Rivers State have sued for sustained efforts in the fight against illegal oil bunkering and urged the authorities to be circumspect and guard against the perceived attempts to sabotage the feat being recorded. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
The military, alongside NSCDC, have been in the forefront in the ongoing fight against illegal oil bunkering in the Niger Delta region. Here in Rivers State, the activities of illegal oil bunkering have remained a concern to the authorities, residents, and the environment.
This is devastating degradation, and the gas flaring and the hydrocarbon is very detrimental to our health.
Many of the legally refined petroleum products allegedly find their way into the market. This has also raised concern of alleged complicity on the part of some of the stakeholders.
They should desist from such. Criminals are arrested, get them prosecuted, send these products to NNPC, whatever. They know what to do.
With the new service chiefs, observers want a deliberate action that will ensure the supply of illegally refined petroleum products are cut off, while decisive action taken against security personnel or petroleum product marketers aiding the patronage of illegally refined petroleum products in the state. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri.
Now, Nigeria's economic prosperity depends largely on its ability to take advantage of emerging technologies to boost production and trade relations.
If we want to be more relevant in terms of digital economy and national security for sustainability and development, everywhere now we talk about the blue economy. How many of us can beat our chests and say that when it comes to hydrography, I am an expert? And the blue economy is on the sea.
The mapping coverage in the country is not sufficient enough. Government at various levels should be encouraged to formulate mapping policies. The nation is currently bedeviled with security challenges. It is incumbent on you to profile solutions that can make it possible to track these terrorist enclaves and execute the needful judgment without much physical contact.
We appeal to the government to encourage surveyors to carry out the formation monitoring survey of infrastructures for economic sustenance and prevention of collapses.
Now, relevant government agencies have been called upon to strengthen measures in protecting the rights of women in the mining industry. The appeal was made by a group of women in mining, Nigeria, at a summit held in Abuja, focusing on safeguarding the rights of women and children in the solid mineral sector. President of the association, Janet Adeyemi, is optimistic if necessary steps are taken, women will make significant contributions to the mining industry.
We also hear of women receiving very low wages. You know, the male counterparts are paid higher wages than the women. So what is the way forward? Yes, you have the app, and then there's a toll-free line, you know, to report issues of violations.
The percentage of women so far is about 6%. So we need more women representation to be able to articulate the issues affecting women in this sector.
The legislation on women's rights and women participation in mining is critical, because in recent time we find out that more are to be done by women than men, because they don't have the patience, especially when it comes to analysis aspect.
Our ultimate goal is to increase the percentage of female workforce in the mining sector from the current 6.8% aids to achieve gender balance in the sector. To combat gender violence in mining host communities and facilitate real-time reporting, we created the Women Rights Act. Various studies have highlighted the prevalence of gender-based violence in Nigeria, emphasizing the urgent need for effective measures to prevent and respond to such violence.
And now to the matter of the day. The student loan bill that was passed recently, signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was proposed by the former Speaker of the 9th House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, and it was passed by the lawmakers in the late May 2023 and accented to by President Tinubu. This bill is not the first time the loan scheme was actually proposed and operated in Nigeria. In the 1970s and 80s, the loan scheme was operated in Nigeria by the Student Loan Board and the Education Bank Initiative, which unfortunately were not sustained. This is the focus of our discussion on the program, and I'm being joined in the studio by Benga Olorupomi. He is a seasoned public relations expert. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thanks for having me, Benny.
Well, like you had in the introduction, this is not the first time the student loan scheme is been implemented in Nigeria. How do you see it working this time around? That is, if you have private information that has actually been in existence and how it worked before now.
Okay, I think first of all, before we have to applaud the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for making sure that he is keeping the promise that he made to the people and ensuring that this loan bill is signed into law within the first 100 days, nay, within the first 10 days of his government. I think that shows that his government is going to be people-centered and that young people form the core of those that will benefit from this government. And that's important because they are the future of the country. The country belongs to them. I think the difference here is in the fact that the last administration, when they wanted to take on the rice revolution, wanted to make rice the staple and stop the importation of rice, what they did was to hand the project over to the CBN. And that is exactly what the president has done. The CBN is right in the center of this particular one. And it's not being done just out of the goodness of his heart. Yes, the bill is going to favor the most indigent in the society, but what's most interesting about it is that you find that because you are giving it to the CBN, you are going to be attracting foreign direct investment in the educational sector. I think that basically what this man is saying to the world is that I am opening up this sector for investment. Right now, we're doing about 5.14% of our GDP in education, with the CBN directly putting their money into this. That is going to grow, and there are multiplier effects of that. So why do I have confidence that this is going to work? Because the Apex Bank is involved, because that signals to the world that we are ready. And I think it's just the first in a long line of things that is going to happen to the educational sector.
Nigeria has been bedeviled, if I'm permitted to use that word, by what seems education tourism, where a good number of Nigerians, once they can afford it, are quick to send their children outside the shores of this country to acquire knowledge. Do you see this serving that particular challenge, as well as closing the gap, the unemployment gap we are facing right about now in the country?
So I don't see it as totally bad that Nigerians are seeking knowledge elsewhere. Of course, even as our education is here, we have foreigners coming here to study.
Sure.
No country has the monopoly
of knowledge.
Exactly. But we're in a knowledge economy. The whole world is looking for people that have the knowledge to solve problems. So if the knowledge exists abroad, yes, they can go there. But on the issue of unemployment, look, I have always believed that our problem is not just unemployment. It is that we have what is called unemployability problem. Many of our people just don't have the requisite skills to do the jobs as they exist today. So how will this loan system, this particular law, help? I know for a fact that wired into this law is a service that is going to advise people who want to take these loans on courses they should do. And of course, it's a business concern for the CBN. They are not going to advise you on jobs that they know that the data shows will be redundant in the next few years because of AI, because of innovations in technology. They are going to advise those to take those loans on jobs that exist today and that will exist tomorrow. So the issue of skills will be dealt with. There are many jobs that exist both locally and internationally that Nigerians just are not taking advantage of because they don't have the skills. With a program like this that is tailored to solve current and future problems, the issue of unemployability will be fully tackled, in my opinion.
I quite agree with your submission on skills, the issues of skills and the gap in skills. But the curriculum we have in the country as it were today, does it address some of these jobs you're referring to, talking about jobs of today and jobs of the future?
Well, I know that I'm a product of a federal institution, and yes, we have the challenges of, the curriculum just not working for 21st century problems. But at the same time, the private universities are leading the way in that area. They are showing that it is possible to do it here. And I think that with a program like this, where investment is coming in, where private and both foreign and local investment is coming in, the federal universities are going to adjust. And I think that, in my own way, I think that this loan system that is going to be implemented now is just a precursor to what is going to happen. I think that this is just a first step in a series of steps that will lead to the ultimate realization of what we call the university autonomy, where universities will be able to set their own prices, focus on the courses that they want to teach and all that, and be free to take their decisions without government interferences. So, and I think what this will do is that it will raise the level of competition. Schools will be able to now say exactly what they want to concentrate on, and they can charge fair prices. I don't think it's fair that Nigerians will come and say, oh, they want universities to be opened all the time without strikes. They want lecturers paid to be high, but at the same time, they want to pay low wages. I think this is just a first step in a series of steps that will probably end up in university autonomy. And believe me, I believe is going to be good for this country ultimately.
Yes, you mentioned the role of lecturers. We also understand that, as we say, the students, Nigerian students, don't necessarily need a loan, but they need grants. How do you see to that, more so that universities are being advised to get to look at ways of raising revenue within the system to fund the system rather than depending entirely on government funding over time?
So thanks for answering the question within your own question. You just said that the universities lecturers are saying they want grants. Already, our standard of education, especially in the federal institutions, have been falling for decades because funding is just not there. And that's because people are paying way below what they should for higher institution education. Now, is it when a few people are getting grants to go to school? Is it that time it will improve? Even now, when millions of people are getting subsidized education, I don't think the route of grant, is inclusive enough. I think this particular loan bill that allows for the poorest of the poor to take advantage to, apply and be given loans depending, and these loans are given on a case-by-case basis, or are going to be given on a case-by-case basis because it will depend on the course you're studying and all that. Then before you start paying back 2 years after your NYC and all that. So I think this loan route is better because what it does is that it will encourage even people who people who have extra lessons, people who have buildings around schools. There will be more restaurants, people who sell drinks and all that. It's going to make education economy one that a lot more people will be absorbed into. So
more
that's
like a multiplier effect.
There's a lot of multiplier effect on it. So I think the route of a loan that is democratic, that is fair, and easily accessible is better than a grant program. In my humble opinion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benga, for sharing your thoughts with us and the insights you've given us on the way to go and how this initiative should be well celebrated more than it's been done now. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thanks very much, Benny.
Moving on, transparency and accountability are key concerns in Nigeria's public sector, and the Nigerian Television Authority is mindful of this. Neka Oko reports that the authority is using its 2023 Heads of Finance and Chief Accountants Conference to address these issues head-on.
It's that time of the year when heads of finance from across NTA stations nationwide meet to deliberate on topical issues affecting the directorate and other developments in the accounting world. The theme for this year's conference, Reevaluation of Property, Plant and Equipment, a necessary tool for effective implementation of international public sector accounting standards, IPSAS, is said to be relevant considering the importance of accurate and up-to-date records in the public sector.
We must approach the fact that transparency is anchored on trust, honesty, integrity, exemplary leadership.
This helps us to know what is obtainable as our job and the nation at large.
This year has been a very special year where we come together and then revalue our assets and put things in proper perspective.
The Executive Director of Finance, his words ignite fire in the delegate's heart, conveying the urgency and transformative power revaluation of property, plant and equipment hold in the public sector.
We will transfer agri-deployed staff to stations in need. It is worthy of note that the issue of inadequate finance staff in some stations are being considered with a view of addressing them.
There should be a conscious effort, to imbibe and inculcate in our staff, financial literacy.
And speaking about financial literacy, makes me to seek more robust collaboration between the finance and the news directorate, in the sense that we do not understand a lot of the processes that are involved in financing.
The Director General of the NTA, represented by the Executive Director News, Ayo Adewuyi, paints a picture of the financial obligations faced by the organization, highlighting the positive impact achievable by adopting international public sector accounting standards.
As much as it is important to talk about the revaluation of assets, which is long overdue, it must be borne in mind that we must never forget the human asset in us, which more than all other assets comes first.
The three-day conference promises to be engaging and result-oriented.
It's now time to take a look at prices of commodities in the global market. Oil prices rebounded early on Wednesday, recovering after two straight sessions of losses as expectations of hawkish Federal Reserve talk later in the day and possible U.S. crude stock drawdowns outweighed China demand worries. Brent futures firmed 4 cents to $75.94 a barrel, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures inched up 6 cents to $71.25 a barrel. And taking a look at the equities market, it closed positive as a bullish run continues in midweek trade. The all-share index increased to 59,323.95 basis points. A total of turnover of 643 million securities valued at 6.1 billion naira were exchanged in 7,806 deals. Equity capitalization advanced to 32.3 trillion naira at the end of the day's trading session. This is where we end Business Express. Business Express returns tomorrow.